Japan has strongly condemned North Korea's latest missile launch, which is its 12th missile of 2023. Earlier today, Pyongyang launched a ballistic missile in the eastern waters, also known as the Sea of Japan. The missile launch coincides with the ongoing NATO summit in Lithuania, where Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is all set to meet South Korea's Yoon Suu Kyi. The launch comes 2 days after North Korea threatened of shocking consequences to protest United States' alleged provocative reconnaissance activity near its territory. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol, who is set to meet Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, as I mentioned, on the sidelines of the NATO summit, is to discuss the release of radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear plant and North Korea with the Japanese Prime Minister. According to reports, Japan plans to release more than 1 million tons of water from its tsunami-wrecked Fukushima nuclear plant. Seoul and Tokyo are taking steps to improve ties, especially due to the threat from North Korea. Rescuers and firefighters moved on rafts through Montpellier's flooded streets. This happened after a Vermont reservoir threatened to overwhelm a dam protecting the state's capital. Till now, flooding has already shut roadways leading out of town and trapped some residents inside their homes. The National Weather Service has described the floods as catastrophic and are expecting aggravation. The flooding has prompted more than 100 rescues throughout the region. Honduran military police seized a massive cache of arms and ammunition during a raid. The police seized automatic rifles, AR-15, AK-47, M16 rifles and a variety of ammunition. The operation Faith and Hope was carried out by the military police of Public Order of Honduras. Authorities destroyed the seized items during a press conference where they burnt and cut down the weapons. Tens of thousands of Israelis took to the streets of Tel Aviv in protest. Crowds of flag-waving protesters stopped morning traffic at major intersections and highways. People marched as the government went ahead with the Justice Bill, which seems to have opened the deepest splits in the country. The bill, which is aimed at curbing the powers of the top court, had protesters carrying placards and demanding democracy. Iraq will soon begin trading crude oil for Iranian gas. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammad Shia Sudani has said that this will avoid any payment delays to Tehran. Sudani said Iran had cut its gas exports to Iraq by more than 50% as on the 1st of July. However, Tehran has now agreed to resume gas exports in exchange for Iraqi crude oil. As per sources, the deal was reached upon during talks with an Iranian delegation in Baghdad. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has failed to get an invitation for Ukraine to become a member of NATO, saying Ukraine is not yet ready for the membership. NATO leaders added that Kyiv will be allowed to join the alliance when members agree and conditions are met. Though many NATO members have funneled arms to Zelensky's forces, there is no consensus among the 31 allies for admitting Ukraine. According to the State Department spokesperson, the only reason for stalling the alliance is that it will put the United States in a shooting war with Russia. While Zelensky said in a statement that Ukraine will make NATO stronger, the United States and Germany have urged caution to the alliance. The British government has said that it will provide $64.7 million to Ukraine. The sum will be provided for equipment repair and establishment of a military rehabilitation center in Ukraine. Under the new tranche of support, UK and G7 members will provide more than 70 combat and logistics vehicles. These programs will be funded through NATO's comprehensive assistance package for Ukraine. Also, it will be supported by rehabilitation specialists from across the alliance. US Department spokesperson called Russia's veto to the renewal of a United Nations operation as inhumane.
One of a few
Cuba has said that the United States recently had a nuclear-powered submarine at its military base in Guantanamo Bay. The Cuban authorities called the action a provocative escalation of tensions. The U.S. State Department declined to give information about the movement of military assets. They said Cuba was looking to distract from the 2-year anniversary of the largest street protest since Fidel Castro's 1959 revolution. Cuba has long called for the United States to close its 121-year-old naval base along with military prison, Washington established there in 2002. India's Defence Ministry gave its initial approval to buy 26 Rafael fighter aircraft and 3 Scorpion submarines from France. The proposals will now be sent to the Defence Acquisition Council, the country's top procurement body. As per reports, a deal is likely to be announced during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to France this week. Myanmar Supreme Court is set to hear appeals by former leader Aung San Suu Kyi. The appeal against convictions from misuse of state funds and violations of trade and telecom laws will be heard over the next 2 weeks. The 78-year-old Nobel Peace Laureate has been convicted of offences since the military arrested her during a coup in February 2021. Suu Kyi will also seek to reduce her 33 years of jail time. The court is expected to take up to 2 months to deliver its ruling. Sediments deposited at Crawford Lake in Canada provide evidence that Earth entered a new geological chapter. This human-driven chapter has been named the Anthropocene epoch. Scientists have proposed that it reflects the effect human activities have on climate and ecology. However, there have been some disagreements within the scientific community about when this proposed chapter began. Americans search for ways to stay cool after extreme heat gripped the U.S. from Florida to Arizona. Houston experienced scorching temperatures exceeding 38 degrees Celsius. Record global ocean heating has invaded Florida with a vengeance. Water temperatures are threatening delicate coral reefs. Forecasters are warning of temperatures that, with humidity, will feel like 43 degrees Celsius by week's end. If that's not enough, Florida is about to get a dose of dust from Africa's Saharan desert that's likely to hurt air quality as well. And to add insult to injury, the region has been left with high and dry with no monsoon activity. Requested by Russian Federation, the United Nations Security Council held a meeting to discuss the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline. This is in relation to the suspected attacks on the Nord Stream pipelines 1 and 2. Pipelines were built to carry Russian natural gas to Germany. No blame has been officially attributed, but NATO has increased its presence in the Baltic and North Seas. About 5,000 miles of oil and gas pipeline systems, networks and grids are impossible to watch 24/7. Greenpeace activists displayed a banner in central Madrid to raise awareness on climate change. The display came ahead of the next general election scheduled in mid-summer. Madrid residents tried to cool off around the urban beach, a group of splash fountains to battle high temperatures. The second heat wave of the year has pushed the Spanish Weather Office to issue a red alert in certain regions. The heat wave is expected to last till this week, with temperatures surpassing 40 degrees Celsius. A wildfire consumed more than 4,000 hectares of a national park in eastern Bolivia over the weekend. Drone images showed plumes of smoke coming out of the national park in the Santa Cruz region. According to authorities, the wildfires entered a wet national park. While that lowered the intensity of the fire, it also made it very difficult for fire crews to fight the blaze. U.S. Special Envoy on Climate Issues is all set to visit China for his 3-day visit. John Kerry will be meeting senior officials in Beijing from the 16th to the 19th of July. Kerry's visit to China would embrace talks on preventing a global climate crisis. Despite tensions between the world's two biggest economies, the two have previously cooperated on climate change, with breakthroughs that led to the 2015 Paris Climate Accord. The United States and China are also the biggest greenhouse gas emitters in the world.
Has enough money to get this job done.
Step back in time and dive into the ancient world as two prehistoric predators, that is the pteranodon and Dinosaurs, are being put for sale at Sotheby's in New York, and they're expected to be quite expensive. The pteranodon, with a wingspan of nearly 20 feet, is expected to fetch between $4 to $6 million. The other highlight of the Geek Week auction is one of the most well-preserved Dinosaur skeletons discovered, known as Nessie, which is a Jurassic-era Dinosaur expected to fetch between $6 to $8 million. According to the United Nations, India is said to be the world's most populous country, though it is unclear exactly when India's population will pass China's. This forecast is based on UN's latest estimates of global population. Observers say India's sheer size and its young population give it the potential to replicate China's economic trajectory. Reforms in the 1990s spurred spectacular growth, and India's $3 trillion economy is the fifth largest in the world today. India has the world's largest young population, a higher fertility rate, and has seen a consistent decrease in infant mortality. The UK Parliament recently debated whether making swift bricks can be an appropriate solution to the country's dwindling bird population. It was triggered by a petition signed by more than 110,000 people, launched by a campaigner, Hannah Bone-Taylor. A common sight during summer in the UK is flocks of swifts from Africa. However, the crevices needed for their nests are not commonly found in Europe. For this, they've been installing boxes. People have been installing boxes in church belfires in England. According to campaigners, the swift population has declined by more than 50% over the last 30 years. The race for artificial intelligence dominance is heating up, with Indian tech services provider Wipro Limited making a groundbreaking announcement. Wipro plans to invest a staggering $1 billion into AI over the next 3 years. This strategic move aims to propel the company to the forefront of innovation, with a strong focus on expanding AI, big data and analytics solutions. But that's not all. Wipro also unveiled its first AI-first innovation ecosystem, Wipro AI 360, and pledged to train all of its 250,000 employees in AI within the next 12 months. In a bold move that may have far-reaching implications, Amazon is challenging the European Union's stringent online content rules. The e-commerce giant's decision to contest its designation as a very large online platform under the Digital Services Act has ignited a legal showdown in the Luxembourg-based General Court, Europe's second highest. This marks the first time a big tech company has taken such action, and it comes hot on the heels of German online retailer Zalando's similar lawsuit against the European Commission. Requested by the Russian Federation, the United Nations Security Council held a meeting to discuss the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline. This is in relation to the suspected attacks on the Nord Stream pipelines 1 and 2.